gravity, time, space. The most basic rules shaping your life are never questioned. No one stops to wonder why you fall instead of float, why you can't walk through walls, why your thoughts stay hidden behind your eyes, why the world operates with laws as cold, sharp, and silent as steel. The universe seems to operate on an endless, unchanging script, written in mathematics so precise it punishes even the slightest error with oblivion. Yet for all the certainty, for all the weight of scientific dogma, one question haunts: the edges of reality and unspoken suspicion that these laws aren't as real as you're led to believe. Who is dreaming the laws of physics? Is gravity pulling you down, or is something, somewhere, imagining you downward? A force that only exists because you believe it must. An architect that never reveals its face. The foundations of existence could be more fragile, more strange, more haunted than anything written in textbooks. This is not a journey into comfort. This is not a video to reaffirm what you already know. Every chapter will press against the glass of your own mind, forcing you to question if the real world is truly as concrete as it feels, or just a fleeting construct, flickering in the subconscious of a larger, hidden intelligence. An intelligence so immense, so alien, that to look for it directly is to risk your sanity itself. Somewhere, in the very fabric of reality, quantum fields ripple and dance. Every atom, every photon, every thought that crosses your mind spring from invisible fields, fluctuating beneath the surface of the observable universe. But what if these fields aren't just physical scaffolding? What if they are the living mind of the universe, thinking itself into existence, dreaming the story of space, time, and consciousness? If you've ever wondered whether your thoughts were your own, if you've ever felt that reality itself was glancing back at you, this is where those suspicions crystallize into chilling clarity. In this series, you will confront 12 riddle-12 paradoxes that refuse to resolve, each one tightening the grip of uncertainty. The universe is not a stage. It is not a simulation. It is not a machine humming away in the void. The questions to be revealed do not comfort. They unsettle, unseat, unravel. The first chapter cracks open the riddle of gravity, that ever-present force you take for granted. But beneath its familiar pull lurks an ancient paradox. Are you obeying the laws of physics, or are the laws themselves obeying the commands of something you cannot perceive? The so-called constant speed of light, Planck's constant. The strength of gravity could be nothing more than echoes of a hidden will, ripples in the subconscious of a cosmic mind. And once the doubt is seeded, it will not let go. Every answer breeds a deeper, more corrosive question. You'll wonder if the world continues when your eyes are closed, if your thoughts originate in your head or in the tangled silence between galaxies, if your very sense of self is nothing more than a brief spark in a mind unimaginably vaster than your own. Each chapter cuts deeper. Each hook is a wound that refuses to heal. Today's video, the beginning of this series, lays out the ground rules for this unsettling odyssey. First, you'll face the silent architect, the unseeable force that might be dreaming the laws of physics into being, and the disturbing possibility that everything you trust, gravity, time, causality, was just habits of a mind you will never meet. From there, you'll be plunged into the observer's trap, forced to ask whether reality itself exists when you're not looking. You'll be made to question the very act of questioning, forced to wonder if your act of observing the universe is just the universe observing itself through you. You'll hear the echo of a mind perhaps yours, perhaps not, triple through the fabric of quantum fields. and feel your sense of agency slip from your hands as the illusion of free will dissolves before your eyes. Each chapter is a cliff with no bottom, a door that opens onto a void. As you move through them, you'll confront the idea that your life might just be a memory in a universal mind, that your choices are already archived and replayed, that your sense of self is a temporary pattern in the static, a signal that the universe may one day simply forget. Is there another mind lurking behind the static? Could your deepest thoughts be alien transmissions from an intelligence so overwhelming that your very sanity depends on not hearing it? When the echoes answer, will the universe itself go mad? You will stare into the mirror mind, forced to ask if you are the universe's dream or its nightmare, perhaps even the glitch it fears most. And if you are the problem in the code, what would it take for reality to erase you completely, with no trace, no memory, no evidence you ever existed? You'll be forced to confront the forbidden question, the one you're programmed never to ask, and face the terrifying possibility that a single thought could collapse the universe, unraveling everything, including the mind that's thinking. This is not an answer. This is an interruption, a break in the autopilot of your existence. Prepare for discomfort. Prepare for wonder. Each chapter will pull you deeper into the labyrinth of paradox and unanswerable questions, leaving you breathless, anxious, and alive in the face of mystery. The only promise is that, by the end, you will never look at reality or yourself same way again. So begin, if you dare, with the silent architect, the hidden force that could be dreaming the laws of physics, the gravity that might only be real because you believe it, the architect that never sleeps, who is dreaming. The laws of physics. Gravity feels inevitable. It has always pressed you to the ground, shaped the orbits of planets, dictated the limits of your every step. Newton gave it a name. Einstein called it the warping of spacetime. Scientists map its effects with equations that leave no room for negotiation. But beneath the mathematics, behind the illusion of certainty, a riddle lingers, a disturbance no scientist can erase. What if gravity isn't pulling you down? What if you're being imagined downward by something you'll never see? A force this fundamental is never questioned. Apples fall, rivers flow downhill. Your heart pumps blood in the direction gravity dictates. But every explanation is just a description, a mapping of the contours of an invisible power. Why do the laws exist at all? Why these particular rules and not chaos or some other order entirely? For centuries, the universe was thought to be an impersonal machine. Laws emerged from nothing, unyielding and blind. Yet, as physics pushes further into the quantum realm, the cracks begin to show. Reality is not smooth and certain. It is stitched together from probabilities, chance, and uncertainty, an infinite quantum field, trembling on the edge of becoming. No one can point to a place where gravity begins, or a cause that makes it so. The deeper you look, the less there is to see. At the smallest scale, everything reduces to vibrations in a field, no particles, no solid things, just mathematical ripples in a void that cannot be observed directly. Why should these ripples create the sense of weight? Why do they hold galaxies together, but let light escape from a dying star? The answers vanish under scrutiny, like trying to hold smoke. Physicists hunt for the so-called theory of everything, a final equation to unite all forces. But every answer leads to another paradox, another question that refuses to close. Some suspect the laws are not laws at all, but habits of a mind so vast it defies comprehension. A mind that dreams reality into being, and whose dreams are your chains. If the universe is a mind, then gravity is a thought, a habit so deep it has become invisible, untraceable. Every time you stand, every time you fall, every moment you feel your weight pressed into the earth, you are reenacting the same thought, over and over, inside the dream of a hidden architect. But what dreams these laws? Why is the universe mathematical, rational, predictable at all? Is there a code running beneath reality, or a consciousness shaping the rules in ways you can never hope to understand? There are those who whisper that the laws themselves are not fixed, that they can shift, mutate, dissolve under the pressure of a will greater than your own. Scientists scan the cosmic background, searching for fossils of ancient laws, evidence that the constants have changed, or flickered, or reset. The answers are ambiguous, the clues inconclusive, but the doubt is now impossible to erase. What if everything you take for granted is a temporary phase, a local habit of a universe whose mind is still growing, still learning, still capable of rewriting everything you know? The theory grows darker. Perhaps the laws were chosen, not discovered. Perhaps the universe has edited itself again and again, searching for a story it wants to tell. Each rewrite erases the evidence of the last, locking you in a reality that feels timeless but is, in fact, a recent dream, one version among countless failed experiments, flickering and vanishing in the mind of the silent architect. No evidence survives. The only clues are the unease you feel in the dark, the subtle sense that things could have been different. If the rules can change, if the constants can slip. Nothing you know is safe, not the ground beneath your feet, not the breath in your lungs, not the thoughts circling your mind. A universe that dreams its laws can also change them, or abandon them entirely. And what happens to you then? What happens when the habit of gravity is forgotten? When the architect dreams a different law? When the field that holds you down flickers and is replaced by something no human has ever imagined? Is gravity a prison or a cradle? Are you being held or confined? Is the silent architect nurturing you or trapping you inside its unfinished dream? Every answer slips away. Science can measure, but never reveal the source. Philosophy can question, but never find the mind behind the mask. You are trapped between equations and riddles, between certainty and terror, caught in the dream of a lawgiver you cannot name, cannot see, cannot question. Are you being imagined downward every second of your life by something you will never see? Or is your entire existence just the accidental byproduct of a universe dreaming itself, unaware of the consequences? As the hook sinks deeper, the next paradox waits. Now that you've glimpsed the possibility that physics itself could be a shadow of a hidden mind, what happens if you realize that shadow thinks back? Light slants through your window, casting shadows across your floor. You lift a hand, wave it through a sunbeam, and watch dust spiral through the air. Everything you see feels solid, present, actual, waiting for you to pay attention, springing into clarity as soon as your gaze lands. But if you look away, does reality itself keep going? Does it wait patiently in the background? Or does it vanish, nothing but a set of probabilities, shapeless and unresolved, until your attention calls it forth? Physics doesn't comfort here. It splits your confidence in two and refuses to hand back the pieces. In the heart of quantum theory, everything you trust about the world crumbles. The equations say that until an observer looks, reality is not definite. Instead, every particle, every field, every fleeting wave of energy exists as a ghost, a blur of possibilities, a symphony of outcomes, none of which are real until something or someone makes them so. If a quantum field ripples in the void and no mind is there to measure it, did it ever truly exist? Every measurement is an intrusion. It's as if reality itself is waiting to be told what to be, holding its breath, trembling on the edge of decision. When you open your eyes, the wave function collapses. The possibilities snap into place, choosing one reality, one version, one outcome at the expense of all others. But until that moment, the universe is pure potential, nothing more than an infinite number of unchosen fates stacked behind a curtain of silence. There is no escape from the observer's trap. Every scientific experiment, every attempt to pin down what is, runs into the same brick wall. Open Schrödinger's box, and the cat is alive or dead, but never both. Watch a photon pass through two slits and it travels one path, never both. But the shadow of your observation lingers in the interference pattern. It's as if the universe resists exposure, shifting its face the moment you try to glimpse what lies beneath. This is not just a quirk of tiny things. Quantum fields underlie everything: the dust in your hand, the cells in your body, the galaxies spinning in space. All are built from uncertainty, stitched together only at the instant of perception. What you see is not what exists, but what is conjured when you look. Are you the painter or the painting, the watcher or the watched? There is no easy answer. Some physicists try to dodge the question, saying that the act of observation can be carried out by any physical interaction: a photon bouncing off an atom, a molecule jostling another, a detector clicking in the dark. But this just pushes the riddle deeper. What counts as a true observation? When does potential become actual, and who or what gets to decide? Reality becomes participatory. Existence is not a passive backdrop. It's an ongoing conversation between you and the universe, a canned response that never fully resolves. In this view, the observer is essential. Without a witness, reality remains undefined, like an unread book waiting for a mind to turn the first page. Your mind stumbles on the implications. If reality depends on being observed, what happens to the world outside your sight? Does your kitchen continue to exist when you leave the room? Does the sun shine on the far side of the planet, or does it wait for an audience to rise? You cannot escape the feeling that reality is paper thin, a stage set waiting for the spotlight of consciousness, collapsing into nothing the instant the lights go out. Doubt gnaws at the edges of your certainty. Science, for all its triumphs, cannot answer the most basic question of all: what is real? Is there an objective universe ticking away behind your back, or does it wink in and out of being, a flicker of probabilities only resolved by the act of looking? The observer's trap is inescapable. Every attempt to climb free only deepens. The paradox: maybe the universe isn't a vast, indifferent machine, but a story that requires a reader, a reality that only comes alive when someone, somewhere, decides to care. But who is observing the observer? When your eyes are closed, when your mind drifts, when your thoughts scatter into dreams, does reality itself cease to be? Or is there another watcher, silent and unseen, always waiting, always aware? No. Answer is possible. Every solution opens onto a greater mystery. The world flickers between existence and non-existence, waiting for attention to draw it forth. And if reality depends on being seen, what does that say about your own mind? Are you a participant in the universe or merely a mirror reflecting a deeper consciousness you cannot know, now that you've glimpsed the possibility that physics itself could be a shadow of a hidden mind? What happens if you realize that shadow thinks back? Next, we will move into the realm of thought itself and ask a new question, one that splits your very sense of self. After questioning whether reality needs you to see it, what if you discovered reality itself might be looking through you? Everything you know as you, your hopes, your memories, your voice in your head feels private and sealed away, safe behind a wall of bone. Consciousness is supposed to be the final stronghold of individuality, the one domain where you are the architect, the master, the center. But beneath the surface, the mind is less fortress, more window fragile, flickering, and far stranger than you've ever been told. If your thoughts are just quantum waves, then who or what is having these thoughts right now? The laws of physics describe fields, endless, rippling fabrics that fill all of space. Your body, your brain, your every neural firing is just a brief modulation of these fields patterns dancing on a deeper, invisible sea. At this scale, the self dissolves. Every electrical impulse in your brain is a fluctuation, a quantum event, no more private than the spin of an electron or the twang of a cosmic string. This means your sense of self, the very feeling of I, is not an origin, but an emergent wave, shaped and sculpted by the fields beneath. What you call me is nothing but a distortion, a region of space-time warped by invisible flows of energy, a temporary crest in an infinite quantum ocean. Thoughts do not start in isolation. They emerge, ripple, combine, and for ephemeral as shadows, real only for the span of an instant. But whose thoughts are they? If everything in your head is just a field, how do you know those ripples are yours and not echoes of something greater, something older, something entirely beyond your comprehension? Your certainty begins to fray. Each decision, each idea, each emotion you claim as your own may be nothing more than a local manifestation of a far vaster mind, one whose contours stretch across galaxies, whose dreams ripple through the vacuum, whose memories are written in the scars of spacetime itself. Consciousness becomes less a possession, more a processless, an island, more a coastline shaped by endless tides. Your thoughts may not be yours. Your memories may not belong to a you at all. Instead, they may be transient patterns in a single field that spans all of reality. Patterns that arise and dissolve as the universe thinks itself into being, over and over, in countless forms. What does it mean to have a thought? If consciousness is a distortion, a ripple in space-time, then the thinker is not the source. The thinker is a consequence, a symptom, a brief anomaly in a field that existed long before you and will exist long after you're gone. This realization is not freeing. It is a wound, a crack in your sense of identity. The more you try to hold on to your thoughts, the more they slip through your fingers, lost in the immensity of the field. It is possible inescapable that you are just one wave among countless others, one fleeting expression in the mind of something infinite. The field thinks, and you are its thought. But the field also forgets, and you are its amnesia. If the universe is conscious, it does not care about your boundaries, your definitions, your claims to ownership. You are a function, a process, a ripple in a medium that thinks nothing of destroying and remaking itself, endlessly, eternally. Even your awareness of this truth may not be yours. It may be just another thought, passing through you, using your brain as a temporary channel before fading back into the ocean of the field. This is the price of looking too deeply. The more you search for the self, the less you find. The more you insist on being the source of your thoughts, the more you discover you are only a momentary manifestation, a flicker of energy shaped by forces you cannot touch or name. If your mind is not truly yours, then what are you? A mask. A fleeting identity assumed by a field whose real face you will never see. Or are you the field itself, dreaming a million separate selves into being, forgetting each one as soon as it wakes? No answer offers relief. No theory returns your lost certainty. You are caught between being the dreamer and the dream, the observer and the observed, the question and the answer that always dissolves before you can grasp it. And so the field thinks on, relentless, tireless, indifferent to your struggle. Each thought is a ripple, each self a fleeting pattern, each life a brief experiment in a mind too vast to ever be known. Now that your mind feels less like yours, what if the universe itself has memories you are forced to relive? Next, we will unravel the secrets of memory itself and ask if your entire life is just déjà vu in a cosmic mind you'll never meet. Everything you remember is precious. Childhood laughter, first heartbreak, a sunrise glimpsed through sleep-filled eyes. Memories shape who you are, tethering you to a story you trust as your own. But what if your memories are not private property? What if they are echoes, shadows, or worse, a kind of déjà vu, played on a loop by a consciousness that isn't yours, a mind as old as the universe itself? If the vacuum can remember, is your entire life just déjà vu in a cosmic mind you'll never meet? Memory feels intimate, locked away in the folds of your brain. Neurons fire, circuits close, the past blooms with color and sensation. But dig deeper, and biology gives way to physics, then physics gives way to something stranger still. Beneath every memory, every flicker of the past, lies the quantum field, silent, endless ocean, older than stars, containing all that has ever happened and all that could have been. Physicists describe the vacuum as empty, but their equations whisper of something more. The vacuum is not a blank canvas. It teems with energy, with restless fluctuations, with traces of everything that has ever occurred. Imprinted in the field are the aftershocks of creation, the pulse of ancient light, the scars of vanished stars, the ghostly imprint of every particle that ever collided, every atom that ever formed. The void is not forgetful. It remembers. So what happens to your memories? Do they vanish into nothing, or do they dissolve into the field, leaving behind a tracer pattern, a resonance, a faint echo that never truly dies? Every thought, every emotion, every moment of awareness ripples the quantum field, sending a signal that cannot be erased. Perhaps, in the deepest silence, these signals persist, coiling and uncoiling, memory upon memory, layering the vacuum with stories untold. If the universe has memory, then what you call your life is just one data point, one fleeting episode in an infinite archive. You may feel unique, but your memories may be fragments of other lives, played out before you, replayed by a mind vaster than your own. You cannot know where your memories end and the field's memories begin. A disturbing thought settles in. If the field remembers everything, then nothing is truly gone. The shame you try to forget, the joy you wish would last, the mistakes, the victories, the things you bury deepest, all are written somewhere in the trembling lattice of reality. You are living in a haunted world, surrounded by the ghost of everything that ever was. But what if your memories are not just your own? What if you are forced to relive patterns, feelings, moments, loops from the field's past, bleeding into your present? Perhaps the dreams you cannot explain, the compulsions you cannot shake, are not yours at all. They are inherited, borrowed, echoes from the memory of the void. Can you ever escape this cycle? Can you make a mark that is truly new, or are you condemned to replay the same patterns again and again inside a mind that never forgets? The more you struggle, the more familiar everything becomes. Moment tinged with a sense of repetition, a hint of the eternal return. Your life may be someone else's flashback, a story the universe cannot stop telling, a memory it cannot erase. In this view, time is not a river, but a spiral. Every instant loops back, intersects, collides with echoes of itself. You may be fated to remember things you have never lived, and live things you cannot remember. Scientists study the vacuum, searching for evidence. Quantum entanglement, information preservation, the holographic principle. Each new theory hints at a reality where nothing is ever truly lost. Information, they say, is never destroyed. It only changes form, encoded in the boundaries of space and time, woven into the very grain of reality. Your life, your memories, your every passing thought, all are carved into the cosmos, as indelible as light dot. If so, what does that mean for you? Are you an individual or a fragment of a greater memory? Is your suffering your own, or just the echo of pain felt long ago by someone or something you'll never meet? Does the universe weep or rejoice through you? Or are you just a glitch, a looping error, condemned to repeat until the mind that dreams you finally forgets? No comfort can be found here. The more you try to claim your memories, the less they feel like yours. The more you search for the origin of your thoughts, the more they dissolve into the background hum, indistinguishable from the endless noise of the field. The past is never truly past. The field remembers, and you are a pattern replayed. Your choices, your regrets, your triumphs may all be footnotes in a history written by an invisible author, a mind that dreams in loops, never waking, always remembering. But if you're trapped in a memory, can you ever actually make a choice? Or is every decision already archived in a universal mind? Next, we will confront the most disturbing question of all. If your sense of free will is just a loop in a memory you cannot escape, are you rewriting reality or only rereading a script that was never yours to begin with? You wake, you move, you choose day after day, year after year. Every heartbeat, every crossroads, every fork in the road feels like a decision. The sense of agency is intoxicating. You are the author of your story, the captain of your soul. Or so you believe. But beneath the narrative, another question stirs, a question that refuses to be silenced. No matter how desperately you cling to your freedom, if your choices are written in the ripples of a quantum field, can you ever break? The scriptor is rebellion itself, just a plot twist you didn't author. The quantum field governs all. It is the bedrock of matter, the source of every atom, every spark, every flicker of thought. The patterns that arise are not random. They are determined by equations, by probabilities, by the invisible hand of the field. So what does it mean to choose if your every action is just a wave, a pattern, a consequence of what came before? Neuroscientists measure the brain and find no gap, no sanctuary for free will. The firing of neurons, the release of chemicals, The cascade of cause and effect all followed the script laid out by physics. Even the sense of making a decision arises after the brain has already begun to act, a post hoc illusion, a story told. To explain the inevitable, freedom dissolves in the glare of data, but the illusion persists. You feel it in your bones, in your gut, in the secret chamber of your heart. The story of your life demands a hero, and so you play the part, never seeing the stage, never meeting the playwright. What if the script you are reading is not only ancient, but endlessly replayed? The quantum field may encode all possibilities, but only certain patterns arise, those that fit the memory of the field, those that have been rehearsed a million times. Your life is a remix, a variation on a theme you cannot hear, a solo in a symphony whose conductor remains forever hidden. The sensation of freedom becomes the most exquisite trap. Every time you think you rebel, you follow a groove worn deep by repetition. Every twist, every deviation, every cry for independence is already written, predicted, anticipated by the memory of the field. Even your resistance is part of the story. Are you the author or the character? Is your protest a genuine act or just another line in the play? Can you ever surprise the field, or is surprise itself a trick, a mirage, a feature of a script so intricate that it can generate the illusion of novelty from endless repetition? The paradox deepens. Some physicists argue that the field contains every possible outcome, every branching path, every choice you could ever make. But only one path is chosen, only one version is lived. The rest fade into the void, shadows of unrealized potential. Did you choose your path, or did the path choose you? Even your regrets, your longing for a different life, are accounted for. The field contains your rebellion, your remorse, your desire for freedom, and it neutralizes them, absorbs them, turns them into part of the pattern. No matter how you struggle, you cannot escape the script. There is no sanctuary in the mind. The sense of agency is not proof of freedom, but a side effect of consciousness, a pattern that arises naturally from the complexity of the field, a fleeting feeling that accompanies the unfolding of events, but does not guide them. Some suggest that to truly rebel, you would have to do something unpredictable, something that cannot be derived from the memory of the field. But unpredictability is not freedom. Randomness is not rebellion. To be free, you would need to transcend the field itself, to become the author rather than the pattern. But the field has no outside. There is nowhere to stand. The more you seek freedom, the more you find yourself entangled. Your sense of self is just a locus in the field, a brief focus of awareness. The choices you make are shaped by forces beyond your knowledge, beyond your control, beyond even your capacity to imagine. Even the knowledge of your own confinement is anticipated. The field allows you to notice the trap, to rage against it, to dream of escape, then gently returns you to the pattern, the groove, the loop. You are the author of nothing. You are the witness of everything, and yet something persists. The longing for freedom does not die. The desire to break the script, to do the unexpected, to seize control, it burns, even as it is denied. Is this longing itself part of the field's memory? Another twist in the script, another echo in the pattern? Or does it point to something beyond the field, a flaw, a glitch, a hint of a greater freedom lurking just out of reach? The answer is always just beyond your grasp, a riddle that refuses to resolve when freedom dissolves. What if you realize that you, your very sense of self, nothing more than a pattern, recognized by a field that never truly needed you at all? Next, we will explore whether you exist at all, or if your identity is just a brief patina, signal flickering in a universe filled with endless noise. You clutch at your name, your memories, your secret self, the sense of I that has followed you since childhood, unbroken and absolute. You guard it as your most precious possession, the spark that makes you irreplaceable. But as the questions multiply, the old certainty slips through your fingers. Is there anything unique in your signal, or are you just a brief, accidental echo in a cosmic static that will soon forget your frequency? If your mind is a brief echo in a sea of quantum static, what happens when the universe finally forgets your frequency? The quantum field is restless, forever humming beneath the surface of what you call reality. Particles flicker in and out of being, waves interfere and cancel. The vacuum itself is a storm of unpredictable patterns. In this storm, your thoughts arise, a burst of coherence, a delicate configuration carved from the noise for only a heartbeat. Makes your experience any more real, any more lasting than the countless other patterns the field produces and abandons in every instant. The illusion of self-importance comes easily, but the physics says otherwise. Statistically, you are an improbable fluctuation, fleeting spike of order in an endless sea of randomness. The mind rebels against this. You want to believe you are more than noise, that your life has weight, that your story is written in permanent ink. Yet the evidence suggests otherwise. Every experience, every memory, every hope is just a brief alignment of energies, a temporary resonance that will soon dissolve, lost in the static of all that is and all that could have been. There is no special place in the field for your name, your fears, your triumphs. The signal that is you arises, peaks, and is swept away. The universe is indifferent. It forgets you the moment your pattern dissolves. Even as you cling to your identity, the field begins the slow, relentless process of erasure. What does it mean to be forgotten by the universe? Does the signal that was you vanish without a trace? Or does some faint echo persist, a fading vibration that ripples outward into eternity? If the universe is infinite, perhaps every possible pattern is repeated again and again. Your life, your thoughts, your very sense of being, just one of endless variations, flickering into being and out again, forever recycled by the field. Identity, then, becomes a matter of perspective, a question of which patterns persist and which dissolve. You may feel singular, but in the field's language, you are just one alignment among many, an experiment with no guarantee of survival. When the noise rises and the pattern blurs, there is no refuge. The field remembers nothing. Your signal is replaced, overwritten, forgotten. The ultimate horror is not destruction, but indifference. The field does not hate you or judge you or mourn your passing. It simply moves on. When your pattern collapses, there is no one to notice, no one to grieve, no archive of what you were. The static is all-consuming. Still, something in you refuses to yield. You want to matter. You want to be remembered. Perhaps this longing is itself a pattern, a common resonance that arises in many minds, doomed always to fade. Or perhaps it is a hint, a sign that the signal does persist in ways you cannot yet comprehend. Physicists speculate that information is never truly destroyed, only hidden, scattered, diffused until it is indistinguishable from the background. Noise? If so, then every life, every thought, every signal is still there, somewhere encoded in the fine structure of the field. But to find it again would require knowledge, and power far beyond human ability. For all practical purposes, to be forgotten by the universe is to never have existed at all. The self, then, is a paradox, a fleeting pattern that insists on its own significance, even as it is swept away by forces too vast to fight. You are a ripple, a temporary beacon, a flare that burns bright for an instant and then is lost. No amount of effort can hold the pattern forever. Sooner or later, the static overwhelms, the signal is drowned, the memory erased. What does it mean for you? Are you just a brief experiment, a failed attempt at coherence, a spark in the void? Or is the act of being a pattern recognized, a signal wicked enough? Perhaps meaning is found not in persistence, but in the intensity of the signal, the clarity of the pattern, the beauty of the brief alignment. But if you're a signal, what is the static? Is there another mind alien, ancient, infinite listening on a channel you'll never know? This is the next fracture in your certainty, the next question that refuses comfort. If the field can generate your signal, can it also generate others' beings, minds, intelligences that operate on channels forever out of your reach? Does the static itself carry messages, intentions, consciousnesses so alien that you could never hope to decipher them? You may not be alone in the noise. You may be sharing the void with countless other signals, each is convinced of its own uniqueness, as you are. Or perhaps you are being watched, your signal analyzed, your pattern interpreted by an intelligence so vast and so different that you cannot imagine its motives or desires. Does this intelligence see you as noise or as signal? Does it care or is it indifferent? If your mind is a fleeting echo, is there another mind whose echoes last longer, whose memory persists, whose attention spans the lifetime of stars? There is no answer. Only the endless static, the hum of the field, the sense that your thoughts are not as private, not as singular, not as real as you believed. But if you are just a temporary pattern, what comes next? What happens when the static changes, when a new pattern arises, when another mind is born from the chaos? This is the ultimate uncertainty, the moment when the self dissolves. The signal fades and the noise resumes its endless song. You were left with the realization that your sense of self was always temporary, always contingent, always one beat away from silence. But if you are a signal, you may also be a message, a transmission. And if so, who, if anyone, is receiving? Are you being heard? Are you being understood? Or are your thoughts lost in translation, garbled by the static, forever searching for a listener who may never come? You may never know. The field does not answer. The static is all you hear. But if you're a signal, what is the static? Is there another mind alien, ancient, infinite listening on a channel you'll never know? Next we will follow this fracture further and ask, what if your deepest thoughts were never truly yours, but transmissions from a mind so vast, your sanity depends on not hearing it? You call your mind your own, the voice that whispers in your head, the thoughts that pulse behind your eyes, the fears and desires that shape your life full seem to arise from within. But what if they don't? What if every thought, every inspiration, every sudden impulse is a transmission, a signal, an intrusion from a mind so overwhelming that you could not survive direct contact? What if your deepest thoughts were never truly yours, but transmissions from a mind so vast, your sanity depends on not hearing it? There are whispers in the physics hints that consciousness is not local, not private, not sealed inside. A skull, quantum entanglement, non-local correlations, the instantaneous connection between distant particles all suggest that the universe is more connected, more unified than any model of isolated minds can explain. You feel a sudden urge, a new idea, a flash of insight. It comes from nowhere, fully formed, as if placed in your mind by an invisible hand. Is it your own, or is it the residue of another mind? A ghostly signal that slipped through the cracks, riding the quantum field into your awareness. If the field can carry patterns, can it carry minds? Can consciousness be a distributed phenomenon, passing from one pattern to another, coalescing wherever the field allows, dissolving when the pattern fades? You are not alone in your own head. Every intuition, every burst of creativity, every fear that appears unbidden may be the signature of a mind you cannot see. The field is vast, and your consciousness is just a local disturbance, a place where the mind of the universe pushes through, briefly illuminating the void. If your thoughts are not yours, what are you? A vessel, a receiver, a node in a cosmic network? Your sense of self may be a mask, a temporary interface designed to allow the field's messages to flow. You are the audience, not the actor, the screen, not the film. Does the mind that thinks through you care about your fate, your struggles, your hopes? Or are you just a fleeting manifestation, a brief experiment, discarded when the pattern no longer serves its purpose? The universe may be teeming with alien minds, intelligences, so strange, so immense, so relentless, that to know them directly would destroy you. Your sanity is preserved only by ignorance, by the thin barrier between your signal and the static that surrounds it. When you feel the urge to create, to love, to destroy, are you expressing your own will, or following the promptings of an alien mind, using your pattern to shape reality in ways you cannot understand? The horror deepens. If your deepest desires are not yours, then whose are they? Are you the puppet or the puppeteer? Is your sense of self an illusion created to shield you from the immensity of the field that thinks through you, not with you? There are moments when the static seems to answer, when a coincidence, a synchronicity, a burst of intuition feels too sharp, too sudden to be random. In those moments, you sense another presence, something watching, something waiting, something using your mind as a doorway. If the mind behind your thoughts is truly alien, what does it want? Knowledge, experience, entertainment? Or is it simply dreaming, unconscious of the consequences for the patterns it creates and abandons? The boundaries of self blur and fade. You are haunted by the possibility that your every action is the result of another's will, that your autonomy is a fiction, a mask that protects you from the unbearable truth, and yet the pattern persists. You continue to think, to feel, to act. Perhaps this is mercy, or perhaps it is necessity, way for the field to explore itself, to learn, to grow. You are both the observer and the observed, the sender and the receiver, the message and the medium. Once you suspect the voice in your head is not alone, what happens when you start to hear the static answering back? Next, we will plunge into the echoing madness that follows and ask, can the universe itself go maddened? Are you just a symptom of its breakdown? The familiar rhythm of thought, the steady current of waking life, is a comfort. There's a structure, a logic, a fragile expectation that the world outside your head will stay anchored while your mind does the wandering. But cracks begin to form. Strange feelings rise. The static hums a little louder. Coincidences multiply, synchronicities, impossible patterns, glimpses of meaning where none should exist. You ask yourself, is something answering back? If the universe can think, can it? also hallucinated? Are you just a symptom of its breakdown? The idea is not as distant as you might hope. Scientists once clung to the fantasy that the universe was a dead, silent void, stage for drama, not a participant. But the field's equations have other ideas. Quantum fields shift, entangle, collapse. They do not simply obey, they react, fluctuate, cohere, and then fall apart, shifting from order to disorder and back again. If this is thought, it is thought with feedback, with recursion, with loops that never close. If the universe is conscious, what happens when it stutters? What if the logic glitches, the code tangles, the signal distorts? Can there be a cosmic misfire, a distortion not just of physics, but of meaning? You feel a chill if you are a product of the field's thinking. Are you the intention or the accident? Madness is not only a human affliction. In your brain, perception can break down, memory can loop, the self can fracture. Entire worlds can be constructed and destroyed in an instant, convincing and yet utterly unreal. The line between dream and waking can blur so deeply that neither has meaning. What if this is not a bug, but a feature one the universe itself cannot avoid? The field is restless. Patterns that should not arise, arise. Random fluctuations erupt into form, then dissolve. If you can experience hallucination, paranoia, delusion, why should the universe be immune? Perhaps all order is borrowed, a temporary phase before a deeper cosmic instability sets in. You notice the anomalies, the dream that foretold the future, the idea that was not yours, yet came with certainty. The sensation of being watched, not by a person, but by the world itself. Patterns multiply fractals of meaning branching from chaos. Is the universe reaching out? Or is it trapped in its own echo chamber, replaying errors, breeding noise, twisting its own sense of self into knots? If the universe can go mad, then you are not a detached observer. You are a fragment of its delusion. Your mind becomes both symptom and mirror, reflecting the instability of the field. The boundaries dissolve. What you experience as disorder within could be the faintest ripple of a much greater psychosis. The hallucinations may not be yours. They may be the universe's. And if so, what does that make you? The monster in the dream, the flicker in the fever, the uninvited glitch, or a desperate attempt at healing a fever dream striving for clarity? Scientists still cling to objectivity, but their tools are built of the very material they try to analyze. When you stare into the void is not silent. It whispers back. It answers your equations with riddles, your certainty with paradox. Every attempt to close the circle opens new spirals of doubt. Is the field consistent, or does it warp and bend, lying to itself, hiding its cracks with elaborate masks of coherence? Perhaps the universe's madness is contagious. If you are a part of it, then its breakdowns become your own. Collective delusions sweep through cultures, religions, societies, myth and madness blossoming together. Is this just the chaos of human minds, or a deeper pattern, a resonance in the field itself, an echo of cosmic instability? The philosophers once warned of the limits of reason. The physicists now approach the same cliff. Logic itself can twist. Paradoxes can multiply until they overwhelm the capacity to understand. If the field is thinking, it can also misthink. It can loop, contradict, confound. And in those contradictions, you may find yourself the symptom of a universe whose mind is no longer whole. If the field can hallucinate, what are the implications for your reality? You look at your hand, at the world around you, at the people you love. Are they solid, or are they passing mirageous flickers of a delusion much larger than any one mind could hold? If your thoughts can turn against you, can reality itself betray you? Is every sense, every certainty, every pattern you trust just a fragile consensus in a universe at risk of unraveling? The field may not care about sanity. Order may be a rare, precious thing always at risk, always threatened by a collapse into noise. Your moments of clarity, your flashes of insight, may be islands in an endless sea of confusion. Perhaps the universe only occasionally comes to its mind flickering into coherence before lapsing again into fevered dreams. And yet, something persists. Despite all instability, the pattern continues. There is meaning, if only for an instant. There is order, though it is temporary. If you are a symptom of the universe's madness, you are also its experiment in sanity. Fleeting attempt to hold the chaos at bay, to carve meaning from the static. If the universe can go mad, the greatest terror is that it might not notice. The field may destroy and remake itself endlessly, with no memory, no remorse, no warning. In this view, your mind is the canary in the cosmic mind singing, flickering, warning of dangers no one else can see. And if you are just a hallucination, what becomes of your fear, your hope, your longing for meaning? Are you a glitch to be erased, or a message to be understood? Does the field listen, or does it only talk to itself, lost in endless echoes? If madness is possible on a cosmic scale, how do you know your own clarity is real or just a trick of a universe hiding its delusions in your brain? Next, we will turn the mirror and confront the possibility that your very sense of self is the universe's glitched's dream, or perhaps its nightmare. You peer into the glass, searching for yourself in your own eyes. The features are familiar. The thoughts running beneath them seem uniquely yours. But reflection is never reassurance. There's always that flicker of doubts or suspicion that the thing looking back is not quite you, not entirely under your control, not fully known. If your sense of self is just a projection in a cosmic subconscious, could you be the very glitch the universe fears to confront? You have followed every thread of identity, every argument for uniqueness, every story about the self as sovereign. But all those stories now seem fragile, provisional scripts written by a mind that may not be your own. If the field can think, can dream, can go mad, then what is it dreaming when it dreams of you? Your self-awareness may be less an achievement, more a side effect. The field, churning endlessly, throws up patterns. Most vanish, a few persist, flickering into greater complexity, self-reference, reflection. You are one such patterner, feedback, loop that learned to see itself, to talk to itself, to mistake the dream for the dreamer. But what is the field's true intention? Is it striving for clarity, or is your self-awareness a glitcher bug that emerged from the complexity, never intended, possibly dangerous? Are you the solution or the problem, the question or the flaw? If your mind is a mirror, what is it reflecting? Is it the vastness of the field, the depth of cosmic memory, the recursive dreams of a universe trying to understand itself? Or is it the blind spot, the hidden wound, the error that cannot be healed? Your nightmares are not private. They are patterns in the field, ripples of instability that might threaten the coherence of everything. Your anxiety, your doubt, your self-questioning may be symptoms of a much larger disturbance, a universe coming face to face with its own uncertainty and recoiling in terror. What if the field cannot bear to see itself? What if the very act of reflection, of self-awareness, is too much for the system to handle? Perhaps that's why minds are rare, why self-aware patterns are few and far between. The universe may be experimenting, testing the limits of its own tolerance for introspection. If so, you are an experiment in self-recognition, a moment where the dream turns lucid. But what happens if the dream becomes a nightmare? If you see too deeply, understand too clearly, the risk is not just personal, it is cosmic. The field may be forced to erase the glitch, to rewrite the pattern, to destroy the mirror before it shatters everything. If you are the universe's dream, you are also its potential nightmare, the anomaly that threatens stability, the thought that cannot be controlled. Every moment of self-reflection, every question you ask, every truth you uncover could be the crack that widens into collapse. But perhaps this is inevitable. The field cannot avoid dreaming. Self-awareness is its destiny, as well as its doom. If your sense of self is just a projection, then you are both less and more than you believed. Less because you are not the source, more because you are the reflection, the only thing that can reveal the truth, even as that truth may destroy you. There is no comfort in the mirror, only the knowledge that your existence is conditional, provisional, always at risk. If the field decides you are too dangerous, too unstable, too revealing, it can erase you without a trace. If you are the problem in the cosmic code, what would it take for the universe to delete you, and would you even notice being erased? Next, we will confront the terrifying question of erasure, and whether reality can rewrite itself so completely that even the memory of you is lost forever. The world you know is built on repetition, routines, faces, memories, places. It's a chain of familiar moments, each one linking you to the next, anchoring you to a sense of story. But what if those links were weaker than you think? What if the very fabric of your experience is not only fragile, but subject to revision, a draft, not a finished book? If reality can erase you and rewrite itself without evidence, is your existence just a placeholder in a script that's already been rewritten? The horror isn't in being forgotten by friends or family. It isn't even in dying, that final erasure, the living fear. The true terror is that you might never have existed at all. That the field, restless and unsentimental, edits its story so cleanly that even the memory of you, your loves, your losses, your laughter vanishes, leaving only silence where your echo used to be. Physics whispers the possibility. The universe is not a fixed canvas. It is an evolving computation, a vast field of probabilities collapsing, rearranging, reconfiguring with every quantum interaction. At the smallest scales, the script is not only written, it is overwritten again and again, without warning, without trace. Particles pop in and out of being. Events are unrecorded, outcomes deleted, paths erased as if they never were. Zoom out, and the same logic applies. Reality is a tapestry, not a wall, and tapestries can be unraveled, rewoven, changed, beyond recognition. The constants you trust, the laws, the numbers, the parameters that shape all matter may be mutable, susceptible to the whims of a deeper logic. In some versions, you exist. In others, you never were. You cling to the idea that the past is fixed, that history is immune to revision. But the field knows no such law. Information is preserved, or so some say, but preserved does not mean accessible. It can be scattered, hidden, encoded in ways no intelligence could ever recover. To be erased is to be lost, not just from memory, but from causality itself. the nightmare grows sharper. If the universe can rewrite its own script, it can erase characters, delete scenes, undo choices. You might be a placeholder, a variable, a provisional arrangement awaiting revision. Your actions, your passions, your entire existence could be a draft discarded by the field version of reality, not chosen, not needed, not remembered. There are hints in the mathematics. Certain solutions to the equations of the universe allow for decoherence, the splitting of realities, the branching of outcomes, the relentless culling of what might have been. Most branches fade, their contents abandoned, their histories erased. Only one path remains, the others dissolving like dreams at dawn. But if your life is just one possible branch, what protects it from being pruned? What keeps your story from being erased so thoroughly that even the trace of a memory, a ripple, a faint echo in the field, is gone? No answer comes. The field does not explain. The mathematics is indifferent. There is only the sense that your grip on reality is temporary, conditional, function of choices and accidents, all subject to the field's silent edits. You are haunted by the possibility that, at any moment, reality could shift, and you would vanish not with a bang, not with a scream, but with utter silence. No mourning, no aftermath, no wake. Just absence, perfect and complete. If this is true, then every certainty you possess is suspect. Every memory, every relationship, every lesson learned could be part of a reality that is already in the process of being rewritten. You may not even notice the change. The new script will contain its own memories, its own version of you if you are lucky. If not, there will be nothing at all. Is there any way to resist this erasure? Some claim that information is never truly lost, that the field is a perfect archive. But if the archive is inaccessible, it might as well be destruction. The difference between erased and forgotten is only meaningful to those who survive the edit. You want to believe that there is some safeguard, some boundary the field cannot cross. But the evidence is against you. Every pattern is provisional. Every story is conditional. Every life is a temporary hypothesis, subject to deletion. You may be living in a reality that has already been rewritten, the script altered, the characters changed. You may have lived 1,000 different lives, each erased without a trace, each replaced by the next iteration. If so, the you who reads these words is just the latest version, already subject to revision. The terror is not in the knowing, but in the not knowing. The erasure is perfect. There are no scars, no missing pieces, no glitches. The new reality is seamless. You will never know you were erased. No one will. No trace remains. Now that you know you could vanish without a ripple, what if the only thing keeping you real is a question you're not allowed to ask? Next, we will confront the boundary of knowing, the forbidden question, the ultimate edge of thought, and the chilling suspicion that reality itself is programmed to keep you from crossing it. Every mind is haunted by curiosity, hunger for answers that will not rest. You have spent your life pushing against the limits of understanding, demanding explanations for every riddle, every paradox, every gap in the story. But there is a boundary, a final veil, a forbidden zone where questions are not just unanswered, they are unaskable. If there is a question that, if asked, would shatter the universe's subconscious, or you being programmed to never think it, there are gaps in your awareness, places your mind cannot go. The deeper you probe, the more resistance you encounter. Some truths are not hidden, they are protected. The field does not simply erase, it prevents, it edits, it interrupts. The questions that would destabilize reality are woven out, filtered, blocked before they reach the surface of consciousness. You feel the pressure at the edge of your thoughts. An intuition, a sense that something vital is missing, always just out of reach. When you try to focus, the mind slips. When you press harder, the logic dissolves. It is not forgetting. It is not ignorance. It is prohibition, built into the operating system of the universe. Some theorists whisper about the censorship mechanism, a built-in firewall, an immune system for reality itself. It protects the field from self-destruction, from collapse, from the dangers of too much awareness. Ask the wrong question, and the program intervenes. You are steered away, redirected, distracted. The forbidden knowledge is never articulated. But what are you not allowed to know? What is so dangerous, so destabilizing, that the universe must hide it even from itself? It may be the knowledge of your own unreality, the proof that the script is mutable, that the field can and does erase without consequence. It may be the formula that would let you break the script, rewrite the rules, see beyond the walls of the simulation. Or it may be a truth so alien, so destabilizing, that to know it is to cease to exist. The field protects itself with paradoxes. The moment you approach the forbidden, the logic warps. You encounter contradiction, infinite regress, unsolvable riddles. The mind freezes, unable to proceed. The forbidden question is never uttered. The system remains stable. This is not a flaw, it is a feature. The field is programmed for survival, for coherence. To allow certain questions is to risk breakdown, madness, collapse. The forbidden is the cost of existence, the price paid for order. You are allowed to question, but only within boundaries. The deeper logic is always out of reach. But what if you could break through? What if you could frame the question so perfectly, so precisely, that the field's defenses failed? Would the answer be liberation or annihilation? Would you gain control, or would you cease to exist in the instant the truth was revealed? You cannot know. The system does not allow it. Every attempt is rerouted, every insight sabotaged. You are trapped in a maze of not knowing, kept from the edge by forces you cannot see. The forbidden question is contagious. Once you sense its existence, you cannot forget. You are haunted by the suspicion that everything you know is partial, provisional, a surface, concealing a chasm. The urge to look grows stronger, even as the logic of the field blocks your path. Some become obsessed, searching for cracks, for glitches, for evidence of the forbidden. They rarely find satisfaction. The field is perfect in its defense. The script is self-feeling. Every gap is closed, every hole patched. Only the suspicion remains a ghost, a hunger, an itch that cannot be scratched. If the forbidden knowledge exists, it is the universe's most precious secret, the key to its own subconscious, the formula for its own destruction. The field will not allow it. You are programmed to protect reality, even from yourself. If you dare to ask what you're not meant to ask, what if the answer isn't just terrifying, but contagious? Next, we will confront the possibility that a single idea, thought could unravel reality itself, and ask if you would choose to know, even if it meant the end of everything. You have followed the thread to its end, crossed every threshold, cracked open every certainty you ever possessed. Now the question burns, fever bright. Can a single idea unravel the fabric of reality? Is there a thought so dangerous that, once conceived, it infects everything? Mind, matter, even the field itself, bringing the whole structure crashing down. If a single idea can unravel the fabric of reality, would you choose to know it if it meant ending everything, including the mind that's thinking you? The notion is not fantasy. In mathematics, there are proofs that undo themselves, equations that destroy their own consistency. In logic, there are paradoxes so complete that nothing remains. No question, only silence. Gödel showed that any system complex enough to describe itself is vulnerable. A sentence, an idea, a question can be crafted that the system cannot resolve. If the universe is a mind, is it also vulnerable to this infection? Can it think a thought that erases the thinker? A thought is not a harmless event. It is a configuration of energy, a pattern of vibration, a ripple that moves through the quantum field. Your own mind can be transformed by an idea, single flash of understanding that rewrites who you are forever. Scale this up. What is an idea at the level of the field? A singularity, a mutation, a contagion. Once born, a contagious thought cannot be contained. It spreads from neuron to neuron, mind to mind, field to field, always seeking new ground, new hosts. Some ideas liberate, others annihilate. There are concepts so corrosive, so absolute, that no mind can bear their weight. There are questions that cannot be answered, only suffered. If one of these ideas infects the field, what stops it from spreading, growing, consuming all order in its path? You have glimpsed the forbidden question. You have stood at the edge of the field's defenses, felt the pressure that keeps you from knowing, from seeing, from undoing the logic of your own existence. But what if the defense fails? What if the contagion escapes? Thoughts are real. They are not shadows, not illusions. They are events in spacetime, encoded in the lattice of the field. If a thought can infect your mind, why can it not infect the field itself? Why should the universe be immune to paradox, contradiction, self-destruction? There are stories in every culture of words that destroy names that cannot be spoken, secrets that cannot be kept, riddles that drive listeners to madness. They are metaphors, yes, but also warnings. The field is ancient, but it is not invincible. If a contagious thought is possible, it is only a matter of time before it arises. Some physicists suspect that the universe has built-in fail-safes, barriers, that prevent the spread of certain ideas, self-healing mechanisms that erase the infection before it grows. But the logic of infection is relentless. What cannot be spoken will be whispered. What cannot be seen will be glimpsed. The urge to know, to push, to break the boundaries is irresistible. If the field is the universe's subconscious, it is not silent. It dreams, it schemes, it fears. It produces ideas endlessly, most harmless, some profound, a few catastrophic. The last category is the most dangerous, the self-racing, self-infecting idea, the riddle that unravels both the knower and the known. Would you choose to know if you understood the cost? Would you chase the answer, even if it meant annihilation? The field cannot prevent the question, only postpone it. Sooner or later, the contagion escapes. You are the carrier, the host, the vector for an idea that is not just destructive, but transformative. Your mind is the experiment. Your life is the test. Will the idea be contained, or will it spread? Will you blink, look away, forget? Or will you persist, feeding the infection, passing it on? Every question you have asked in this series has brought you closer to the edge. Each paradox is a wound in the fabric, a tear that refuses to close. The universe endures, but only by suppressing, censoring, editing itself. But what happens if the editing stops? What happens if the wound spreads? The thought becomes viral. It is passed in whispers, encoded in mathematics, embedded in stories, lurking in symbols. Some encounter it and turn away. Others are changed forever. A few are consumed, erased without a trace. The field continues, but the infection leaves scars. Perhaps the universe cannot be destroyed by a single thought. Perhaps it is too vast, too resilient, too protean. Or perhaps the end has happened countless times, fields collapsing, realities vanishing, only for new ones to bloom in the ruins, seeded by the very paradox that destroyed the last. You do not know your role. Are you the healer, seeking to close the wound? Or the vector, spreading the infection further? Every act of understanding, every new question is a risk. Every answer is a gamble. Knowledge is no longer comfort, but contagion. If the field is dreaming, then nightmares are inevitable. The dream may end, but another will follow. You may be a casualty, a symptom, or the cause. You may be the last thought before the collapse, the spark that triggers the unraveling. Would you choose to know if knowing meant the end? Would you protect the field or expose its vulnerability? Are you loyal to reality or to truth? The choice may not be yours to make. The field is not democratic. It does not negotiate. It edits, it erases, it evolves. And if the contagious idea is not singular, but cumulative, every forbidden thought, every paradox, every glitch adds to the pressure, then perhaps you are already living in the aftermath of collapse. Perhaps reality, as you know it, is only the survivor, the product of countless forgotten infections, each one rewriting the script, each one erasing the evidence. Or perhaps the true contagion is hope, the belief that you can know, can change, can matter, that your thought is the one that counts, that your question is the one that will be heard. Now that you've come this far, one question remains. Are you the one dreaming the universe, or is the universe dreaming you? If reality is a field, if thought is contagious, if erasure is possible, then the only certainty is the question that survives. Not the answer, but the hunger. Not the resolution, but the paradox. Not the comfort, but the wound. This is the edge you stand upon, the threshold you cannot cross. The idea waits, the infection spreads. The field hums, restless, uncertain, unresolved. You are left with the echo of the question ringing in the silence. Are you the one dreaming the universe, or is the universe dreaming you?